to today's explainer. We're diving into something today that literally hits home for pretty much all of us, parenting. But look, we aren't here to look at the highlight reel. Instead, we're unpacking a really fascinating source document that maps out all the quiet, kind of unintentional ways our best intentions just totally clash with our child's lived reality. And hey, this isn't about a guilt trip, it's all about awareness.
So think about this for a second. Are your daily habits secretly keeping you from being a good parent? Man, it's a heavy question, right? We're so used to measuring our parenting by those big blockbuster moments, the birthdays, the family vacations, the graduations. But the material we're unpacking today, it suggests the real measure of our parenting is actually hidden in the tiny, daily, almost invisible habits we just repeat on autopilot. It basically holds up a mirror and asks us to take a really hard look at what we're actually modeling for the next generation.
And honestly, the scope of this is pretty wild. The text actually identifies 60 distinct negative habits, literally 60. And we aren't talking about massive, catastrophic failures here. No, these are subtle, everyday behaviors that just quietly sneak into our routines. And over time, they slowly chip away at the connection with our kids. So to make sense of the whole shebang, we're going to distill these 60 habits into 4 core pillars.
All right, pillar 1, the cost of distraction, competing with a screen.
The source paints a pretty stark picture of what modern disconnection looks like. You know the drill. You're physically sitting at the dinner table, but let's be real, your eyes are glued to your phone. Or you're up in the bleachers at their game, but right when they look up to see if you caught that amazing play, you're looking down. You're sitting in their room at bedtime, but you're just scrolling while they talk. Or maybe it's that endless loop of, just a minute, honey. A minute that, let's face it, never actually comes. The text really drives home that whether it's your phone, constantly bringing work home, or just putting your own hobbies first, you might be physically in the room, but you are totally mentally checked out.
This comparison right here absolutely hits the nail on the head when it comes to that core conflict. On one side, you have your reality. I'm just sending one quick work email. It feels completely harmless, right? It feels necessary. But on the flip side is what the child actually internalizes, according to the source. I am less important than a screen. The author argues that kids just don't get the nuance of your crazy busy schedule. They only understand where your eyes are focused. So when you're just nodding along without actually hearing a word they say, trust me, they know. Moving on to pillar 2, ignoring their emotional world, the silent distance. Ask yourself this. Do you actually know your child's inner world, or are you really just managing their schedule? The source makes this super fascinating distinction between logistical parenting and emotional parenting. Like, sure, you know exactly when soccer practice starts or whose turn it is to empty the dishwasher, but do you actually know their best friend's name right now? Do you ever just sit down and ask, hey, how are you really doing? Because logistics, well, they manage a household, but emotional curiosity, that's what actually builds a relationship.
And the habits that build up this emotional distance, they're surprisingly almost scarily common. The text points to things like completely ditching family dinners or game nights where everyone's just eating in separate rooms, living totally separate lives. It highlights the damage of literally zero one-on-one time with a specific kid, which just leaves them feeling totally invisible. And this is a big one, forgetting what they share with you. The author points out that if a kid tells you something important and you just forget it, well, eventually, they're just going to stop sharing altogether. Toss in mocking their tears by telling them to stop being so dramatic, or blowing off their problems just because they seem tiny to an adult. And yeah, the distance grows incredibly fast. The psychological toll here is just heavy. The text delivers this super grounded, tough truth. When you mock or dismiss them, you invalidate them. The ultimate takeaway for that kid isn't, oh, I need to toughen up. It's that their feelings simply don't matter. They don't matter to the very person who is supposed to love them the most.
Okay, let's look at pillar 3, creating an unsafe environment when home isn't safe.
Here, the text systematically breaks down the harsh reality of poor discipline. If your go-to communication style is just yelling, they don't learn respect, guys. They learn fear. If you're always dropping empty threats, I'm taking your phone away forever, but you never actually follow through, your child just learns that you're a liar. If you constantly compare them to a sibling or a cousin, the source literally calls that a wound that never heals. And this is super interesting. The text notes that having zero rules, like a totally chaotic house where literally anything goes, that actually makes kids feel incredibly unsafe. Deep down, they desperately crave consistency.
Now, the source does not mince words when it comes to physical punishment. It takes a really firm, uncompromising stance on things like hitting, spanking, or slapping. It bluntly states that's not discipline, that's abuse. It's just a stark, sobering reminder of the very real line between teaching a child and simply hurting them.
But the list of toxic habits goes way beyond just physical actions. Calling a kid stupid or lazy in the heat of the moment, that slaps labels on them that they're going to carry forever. The text also flags how damaging it is to expose them to your marriage problems, like using them as a messenger pigeon for your arguments. Or visible alcohol and drug use, where you're so checked out that they're basically all alone in the house with you. But honestly, the point that struck me the absolute hardest from the source is the habit of refusing therapy for your own unhealed childhood trauma. If you refuse to deal with your own baggage, you're pretty much just packing it up and passing it right down to them.
It really just boils down to this one contrast. When you mess up, and look, every single parent on the planet messes up, what happens next? The text pits your ego right against their safety. If you refuse to apologize, or if you get all defensive and snap at them when they rightfully call you out, you are literally choosing your own pride over a kid who desperately needs a safe, accountable role model who can just own their mistakes.
Which brings us to pillar 4, failing to prepare them, raising helpless adults.
The source outlines how we're essentially setting kids up to fail by either doing way too much for them or just not doing enough of the right things. If you never give them chores and you just hand them cash without any kind of allowance tied to life lessons, they never learn the value of hard work. The text points out that dodging those awkward conversations about consent or their bodies or their personal boundaries, that leaves them incredibly vulnerable out in the real world. Plus, if you bubble wrap them and shield them entirely from every little failure, they literally never learn resilience. And in today's digital age, the source highlights that giving a kid unmonitored internet access and unlimited screen time is a massive, massive abdication of responsibility.
In fact, when it comes to that unlimited screen time, the iPad all day, YouTube running all night, the text issues this super blunt, unforgettable warning. It says, you're raising a zombie.
And preparation is totally financial too. The text points out that failing to set up a simple savings account, we're talking even just $20 a month over 18 years, or failing to open a 529 college fund, is this quiet habit of omission that completely handicaps their future. It basically means they are going to be the ones drowning in loan debt later on.
And honestly, the most sobering administrative failures presented in the source are these right here. If you have no life insurance and the absolute worst case scenario actually happens, your kids inherit nothing but your debt. If you don't have a will or a legally named guardian, the state literally steps in and decides who raises your kids. So being a good parent doesn't just mean showing up today. It means actively planning for the reality where you might not be there tomorrow.
Finally, looking in the mirror, the reality check. The document wraps up with this incredibly sharp, almost confrontational realization. It asks, still wondering why your kids have issues? Boom. It directly links the child's struggles, their anxiety, that weird distance between you two, their behavioral stuff, right back to those 60 habits we've been unpacking. It totally shifts the spotlight away from the kid as the problem and shines it right on the environment the parent has been creating all along.
But hey, it doesn't just leave us hanging there in despair. The source actually offers a super clear 3-step path forward. Step 1, read the list. Just acknowledge the behaviors without flinching. Step 2, look in the mirror. Accept responsibility without getting all defensive. And step 3, change for them. It's a really active, powerful call to do the gritty, daily work of rewiring your parenting habits from the ground up.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought from today's explainer. The habits you're practicing today, those are going to become the internal voice your child carries around tomorrow. So the ultimate question the source leaves us with is just this. Will you passively pass on your trauma, or are you going to put in the work to be the one who finally breaks the cycle?